here is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandovi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski dives on the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. You know, it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Yuna Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
That Sunday feeling is back once again, and all the makings are here for a classic scrap today. From God Save the Queen to Oh Say Can You See, round 2 of the CTC Lotus 79 series is in Florida for the racing action at Sebring. Good morning, American race fans, and good afternoon to everyone on the European Peninsula. Hashtag do you mind? Jake Sperry is back with the Lotuses again. Joining me in a manner very befitting of Lotus is the British-American Samuel Ryman. I'm Jed Yarman, will be directing traffic behind the cameras, and a mystery man, Dougie Beard, holds the ticket to camera placements. Sam, it's the first time we have done a race together, but with any given race, these vehicles become that extra week more vintage as the series goes on. Sebring, though, could be a massive challenge today for the drivers.
Yeah, Sebring is a massive challenge for the drivers, no matter what car you are in here, because it is just so bumpy, and also a lot of turns and a lot of details to learn. This is a rather large track, 3.7 miles, that's 5.995 kilometers, so basically 6 kilometers there, and only 17 turns, but it feels like a heck of a lot more. And to be honest, with them doing 25 laps around here today, these drivers are definitely going to be feeling it, I have a feeling. Even if it is only virtual racing, by the end of a race they might want to relax their hands and let go of a grip of the steering wheel, because hopefully we should see some intense racing with the 19 car field out here today. Let's give you a driver's perspective of what it's like here at Sebring International Raceway with our GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juhan Orlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Sebring. Coming down the front stretch, you can immediately see just how bumpy this track is. It'll continue through turn 1, and it's hair-raising every time you send it in there. Make sure not to understeer wide, but hold to the right to the track after you exit. Turn 3 comes up fast, but offers some chances for an overtake. Just be sure to stay off the inside curb. Then we weave through 4 and 5. It's incredibly important that you take a late apex out of 5 because it leads onto a long, flat-out stretch that ends in a very popular passing zone. Put in as little steering input as possible through Big Bend, then drift to the left. The heavy braking of the hairpin will make it easy to come in too hot, and sometimes you can just watch the driver pass and you sail on through to the escape road. But if you're side by side out of here, be aware of how the pavement snakes back and forth so that you don't take each other out. Now we scream through 8 and 9, where once again, you'll mostly be trying to straighten the track out. That dumps you into Cunningham, which can be pretty ideal for overtakes. The exit is what's tricky, since you've got to be gentle on the throttle. Lose it through Collier, and the barriers are right next to the track, ready to gobble you up. Then, do your best to line up the braking for Tower without tipping your wheels off to the left in the dirt. This inside curb is another one that I almost always try to stay off of for fear of losing the car. Finally, you've got a little bit of a breather, but it's important to get the proper line through Bishop's double apex and get your car over to the left. Keep the car settled under braking for Jean Debienne because you're taking a ton of speed through this right-left. Swing as wide as you can past the curb on the left and then give yourself a good launch out of Le Mans. It's a corner that's going to make or break your lap times because the Ullman Straight is the longest acceleration zone on the track. And though you can use the slipstream for passes, if you wind up too wide into Sunset Bend, all I gotta say is it's your funeral. It's a blind kink where you're braking on entry, and then it's bumps, bumps, and more bumps. Hit one wrong, and your day could be over in a flash. From off the corner, swing it as wide as you dare, and then hopefully you've now finished a lap around Sebring.
And there we see the GSRC Lotus 79 pounding laps around the circuit of Sebring. Beautiful to see that machine in action, an old classic as always. But let's get the series details up on this screen. Of course, I wasn't here, nor was Sam, for the opening round of the event. But round 2 of 12 here in the Classic Teams Championship Series. No drop weeks available, so every point you score is vital. You must turn up for every race. And it is going to be today a race of length, being 23 laps of action. Now, of course, within those 23 laps of action, you will find an open setup. Everyone's got a different set under the wheels. They've all been tinkering away. No stops for fuel as well will be very good. And point scoring, official iRacing rules. That's something that we need to keep an eye out on. But from the rules, we go to the Drivers' Championship after that opening round. And with the first round from Silverstone covered, it is a perfect start for Juha Noralampi on 196 points. 10 clear of Nuno Moreira in second and Kaye Ruokola in third. Hofer and Bycroft make the top 5, but Sam, official iRacing points mean one worry for a lot of drivers, and that is the flexibility of point scoring.
Yeah, well, the good news for those drivers today is that this race has gone split. There's actually 2 splits going on right now, and the top 19 highest I-rated drivers have made into the split. So there are going to be a lot of points up for grabs, but as you mentioned, no one really knows what those points are. iRacing determines it based on a number of factors, namely how many cars are in the race and what their I ratings are. The best way to score the maximum amount of points possible is to get their best finish possible, and I have a feeling with a strong split, I would say, here today at Sebring, and also with it being so early in the championship, just the second of 12 rounds, you are going to want to capitalise on this opportunity for a good points day today.
You certainly are, and it's not just the drivers looking to capitalise, it's the team's championship we look at as well. Fittipaldi Automotive have the slenderest of 5-point leads after the opening exchanges, with the brilliance of Noralampi and the underrated nature of Clapp. Ligier Gitanes, shall I say, and Albilad Williams tie second with Ragnar Arrow fourth, ahead of Ferrari in fifth. Sam, official races are unpredictable, but with the organisation in this event from the CTC, does this event mean that everyone is in a major scrap for more than just I-rating and safety rating?
Well, I would like to think so. We have a lot of those names that you mentioned fighting it here in the championship are here again today. But then, of course, there is always the curveball factor of the fact that there may be some drivers, maybe not necessarily running up front, but some drivers in this field who may not even know this is a championship race going on. You know, they just wanted to do the Lotus 79 race at Sebring, and they saw in the official series races that a lot of people have signed up for it. They might not even know they're on TV right now. So there's going to be a lot of different drivers out here with a lot of different agendas, but I have a feeling with so many returning drivers from Silverstone last week that there are going to be several drivers here, strong drivers at that, fighting for the championship throughout the season.
I think they certainly are. Sergio Macias then, or Macias shall I say, holds a slender advantage in pole position against Juha Noralampi. Look at the two though, Jonas Ocean Puheka right now. Drive to the line, 1:48.2, it's quicker, but it doesn't improve position then for the Finnish driver. What a shame to see that happen for him. The 18, though, a drive that I know very well from the UK and I Club, Timothy Dalton, making the run through the final corner, trying to make that run to the line here. Final stage of qualifying, under 1:40 to go here, Sam, and it's no lap for Dalton, so he won't improve. Robert Plumley in the 17, making the run through Sunset Bend.
Only one driver yet to set a time, and he might actually be about to do it. Timo Toika from Finland. He is coming through Sunset Bend right now. Now, this is his second lap. I almost wonder if on his first lap he ran off, and in qualifying on iRacing, you can't have an off course or any kind of incident points. It will not count your lap. This second lap time, though, hopefully for him will count. It does, and it puts him ninth,
So that's not bad. Middle of the pack running for him then in the early stages, and with nobody on a lap time. I can officially call it right now. Qualifying is as follows. Sergio Macias then, 148.023. He sneaks pole position away from Juha Noralampi, who has been so good over the past 2 seasons. Jonas Ocean Puheka, shall I say, is in position number 3, the ex-Glacier Racing driver. Gerd Hoferer will start 4th with Nuno Moreira in 5th. Steve Bycroft then will start from 6th position. Nicola Kochi there, a surprising driver, always up there, always scrapping, always fighting there in 7th. AJ Bear, phenomenal performance from him up into 8th position. Timu Toika will start from 9th. And QC Clapp rounds out the top 10, Sam.
Yeah, now we get to our back half of the field. You see the clock in the top left corner. The qualifying time is officially up, so the drivers will start getting gridded here. 11th position on the grid is Marco Kika in the number 11, starting ahead of Mark Pickford. Pablo Suarez will be starting from 13th place, and Timothy Dalton in 14th. The number 6 car, a very good number, but not a good qualifying position for Michael Vanderberg, who will be starting ahead of John Stevens on the 8th row. Robert Plumley, Lear Hughes, and Paul Devine will round out the field. 4 seconds covering everyone in qualifying. Not too bad for such a long track.
4 seconds separate everyone in qualifying, but it's not 4 seconds you're looking at now. It's 2 minutes to get yourself gridded up. Otherwise, you start from the dreaded place known as pit road. And what a difficult start it will be for a lot of these drivers, because they are starting not on asphalt, but concrete. Of course, an ex-airfield here at Sebring will always be a very difficult challenge for a lot of drivers to get through. And up and down this field, it's going to be about who manages themselves the way that they need to. Of course, with 23 laps, it is not going to be plain sailing for a lot of drivers. These are very wide, very wild machines that you can have to have a lot of respect for at the same time of trying to wrestle into shape. Just 40 seconds then to get going, and the advantage will be on Sergio Macias in towards turn number 1, the inside line into a very wide turn number 1. You can easily go 3 wide, but you've got to make it 2 wide on the exit, so there will be someone who will have to lose out in some form of respect here this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are around the world. But number 1 in position number 1 as things stand. Just waiting, though, for the final things to go. Engine notes, though, will start to rise. Let's get ourselves going. Round 2 of the CTC gets itself underway. Let's get ourselves going. I was wondering if Puheka maybe slightly jumped the start off the line. We'll have to get a second look at that. But Macias under pressure from Noralampi, going to the outside at turn number 1 and takes it at turn number 1. But we'll have to track out wide at the exit. Struggling in the early going. Same could be said for Puheka. Macias with a chance at turn number 3 to make it happen. No, he doesn't. But crucially enough, into position number 3 is Nuno Moreira, who's had a sensational start. Kochi has followed into 4th.
Some 3-wide action in the back of the field. Not a great start by Macias. The drivers from 2nd and 3rd on the grid easily got a launch off him off the line. Macias did well, they only dropped to 2nd. As the top 2 battled, they actually broke away from 3rd on back, who were having a battle on their own. Nuno Moreira has been the big jump there, moved up into 3rd place, whereas Puheka has dropped back to 4th, and Kochi started in 7th. He is up into 5th.
Well, he's actually just lost the position to Jonas Ocean Puheka in towards the hairpin. Turn number 7 as they now flick their way through Cunningham Corner here. This right-hander, and now looking for the run up towards Tower. Turn 13 on the course, a 90-degree right where you can very easily check up one after another after another. Have they all sorted themselves out single file for the moment? Yes, they have, and no casualties as things stand in the opening stages of this circuit. And the run to the Ullman Straight will always be very interesting. A lot of opportunity to use the slipstream effects down this Ullman Straight towards Sunset Bend. And I love Sunset Bend, Sam, because it's one of those corners where you can take a million different lines, but nobody quite knows which one is the right one. But look at the weave already being applied by the driver of Noralampi.
Yeah, Noralampi knows that Sunset Bend is a good overtaking opportunity, so I wonder if he was trying to break the draft there, but also he could just be trying to warm up his tyres down that long back straight, because these tyres are quite cold in the early stages on this Lotus 79. So Noralampi comes around to complete the first lap, and QC Clapp is heading into the pits. May have got some damage on the opening lap, so it might not have been as clean of a start as what we'd hoped.
No, maybe it wasn't then for QC Clapp in the number 16 machine. Just going to take a look then at what damage there is. There is none. From what I can see, I assume it could be a jump start then. He may be coming down onto the lane to try and serve. And of course, iRacing very strict on that jump start and the way things happen. Of course, you've got 3 laps to serve. Any penalties that you accrue off of the start. And Osam?
A big slide by John Stevens. He had a big slide as they were coming out of turn number 5. And the scary thing about that was he had 3 cars right on his rear wing. I wondered if any of them were going to run him over. Fortunately, that didn't happen, but he did lose a position to Michel Vandenberg.
Yeah, he certainly did there, Michel Vandenberg. But look at Plumley and Devine now waiting behind, hoping to make that move. So they make their way through Fangio. Turn number 8, the run to Cunningham, then advantage will knock then for Robert Plumley, who is no slouch in terms of iRacing circles. Unable to make the move then on John Stevens. So we'll have to sit, we'll have to wait behind then in the early goings. Up further through the field though, good battle going on between Steve Bycroft and Timo Toika. Bycroft 5th. Last time out then at the circuit of Silverstone, but unable to carry the same amount of speed that Timo Toika does as they make their way towards Le Mans. You can see all 4 tyres go off of the white line as they head into that right hand, and they're trying to maximise their run onto the Oldman Straight, and you can see that in the way that they're taking that line.
Of course, because it's an official iRacing race, these drivers do have an incident limit of 17 incident limits. They don't want to exceed that. I definitely think you don't want to exceed around here. The grass isn't that forgiving. Meanwhile, it looked like there may have been a battle for second shaping up with Macias had Moreira right on his rear wing as they were coming down to sunset. However, now he's able to pull out a gap a little bit and they remain 1, 2, 3 for now.
Yeah, they do remain 1, 2, 3 for now. I was also taking a look through the final corner at Gerd Hoferer in the number 3 machine. Took an uber wide line through Sunset Bend and struggled to get the machine back onto the apex to get himself going, but still keeps himself in line with Nicola Kochi just in front of him. This is what we normally expect to see as there's battling going on behind. Mark Pickford versus Pablo Lumbreras right now in the number 12 machine. Lumbreras holding off that defense right now. Mark Pickford looking for maybe an opportunity down to the hairpin here. He looks to the inside, it's covered under the Mobil 1 footbridge, and to the outside he'll try at the hairpin. Always difficult to make the move. Can he get it back into line? No, he can't. There's contact between Pickford and Kika there. So Kika not being happy, the key didn't fit.
Yeah, and Kika's going to lose a position to Timothy Dalton through that. And well, he does have the inside here. Maybe he can try and get it back from Dalton. They're going to go side by side. And these two costing themselves time to the 2 cars in front while they do this. And boy, this all kicked off, like I say, with Pickford. He was really wanting to try and get by Suarez because he had been trying for about 3 or 4 turns. He wasn't able to make a move by that number 12 car. It kind of held up a bit of a train behind them, and you saw what come to there. It came to contact. Fortunately, didn't come to much more than that.
Yeah, fortunately, no more than that. But of course, these are very fragile Lotus 79. So the moment that you hit it, you know that if you wreck it, if you buy it, you bought it, you've got to repair it yourself as well. So still, Pickford looking for any way to get past Pablo Lumbreras. The battle going on then for the final spot inside of your top 10. Gets himself within a tenth of a second. The cones on the outside show the braking marker distance, but now in towards the right, unable to hook up a good line into that final Sunset Bend. So Pickford will have to stay behind, almost side by side into turn number 1. The battle going on between Hoferer and Nicola Kochi. Kochi now falling off of the back here, the Italian driver of Jonas Pluhecker right now in front. That's going to mean that Gerd Hoferer will look more menacing in the mirrors, but didn't get the best of turn number 3s there. Was a little bit slidey with the rears.
Yeah, I think a few of these drivers are starting to slide around. Now, tyre wear is never really a huge concern with these cars. As a matter of fact, I think normally they run better at the end of a run when they're low on fuel. But one driver who is sliding around is actually our race leader, Juha Noah Lampi. Overshot the hairpin that time around, and that really allowed Macias to close back in. Not enough for a passing opportunity right now, but enough to get the draft. And maybe Macias will think about retaking that number 1 position when they get back around to sunset.
Yes, that may be a good opportunity. It is worth noting about the health condition, actually, that Nora Lampi has. That may be playing a role in the reason why he slightly missed his braking zone. He does suffer from a muscle deficiency, so therefore it is always very difficult for him to get into these races and racing, but he seems very good right now at the front of the field, and when he gets at the front of the field, he normally tends to stay there, but a small mistake, it does give the opportunity back to Sergio Macias, and you'll see again the weave will start to play as they snake all the way to the outside of the circuit. Now back to the racing line, and now back again. No FIA rules here. No one changes change of action needed, you will follow the line no matter how much they weave.
Well, that may be true. You can always protest a driver if such blocking or weaving can cause an incident. Fortunately for these guys right now, they're spaced out enough where that isn't going to be a concern. And there's a lot of drivers racing in proximity of another right now, but no one making moves. Although I am curious to see if Pickford is going to have a go at Pablo Lumbrera Suarez again, as he has a nice draft, a nice toe coming down into turn 1, but they get to the turn 2 quickly. Suarez taking a defensive inside line. You mentioned how there's multiple racing lines through here, and Pickford is actually going to try and use the outside, get very close to making contact there. And Pickford's going to try and use the outside to get the round on the exit of a turn, and a bit of contact too. He picks off a position from Suarez.
In fact, there was no contact. That was purely avoiding action from Pablo Lumbreras in that situation. Let's get a replay of it then and see exactly what happened. So in towards turn number 3, they were side by side. And then, yes, maybe a small bit of contact between front and rear between the pair of them, but nothing really that Lumbreras could have done. There was always going to be that vehicle on the outside at turn number 4 for Mark Pickford, and it was a case of biting off more than he could chew in that situation. Now look behind him, Timothy Dalton. Think he's got an opportunity up into Cunningham. That's not a place you normally make a move.
Meanwhile, at the same time that was going on, there was a change for 5th, and Timo Troika is going very slow on course right now. I almost wonder if he had the slowdown penalty, because he just lost a position to Steve Bycroft. So this little 4-car pack we've been keeping an eye on. Okay, it was a mistake. We've been keeping an eye on this pack from 5th to 8th. They've really all just switched positions around. It's now Hoifer ahead of Kotri, ahead of Bycroft, ahead of Troika.
Yeah, mistakes being made then for Timu Troika. That was all getting out of shape, out of tower. Very easy to put the power down too early. He lost the position. Good move by Hofer. He makes his way then up inside the top 5 where we expect him to be. But look at the front 4, split by just a second and a half out on circuit, and in closing is Sergio Macias, number 1, the driver who started on pole position for this event, and Nora Lampe knows there's a lot of pressure behind him, 0.3 of a second, but look at the mistake made in towards turn number 3 by Sergio Macias. Now he goes from offense to defense now as Nuno Moreira tries to make an opportunity to make some moves in the number 5 machine, always up there, always searching for victory, second in the championship to Nora Lampe. And that's worth noting even in these early stages right now here, Sam, that even in position number 3, Moreira currently is losing a lot of points.
Oh, gonna lose more by doing that.
Yeah, and that's a massive, massive moment coming out of that hairpin there of turn number 7. That was legitimately just trying to get the power down. A lot of torque in those rear wheels you have to apply in, and it's definitely not a straight run out of that corner. Rare mistake from Moreira. He drops a position.
Well, saying Drake at the top of a broadcast, there might be a lot of points up for grabs this race. I'm going to stand by that, because we're 5 laps into this race. These drivers have done about 100 corners right now. They've done over 20 miles, and yet we've still got about 20 seconds spanning the entire field, with the exception of QC Clapp, who had that earlier penalty. And right now, it's really heating up at the front as well, because Nora Lampe ever more having to worry about Macias behind him, and you can see him continuing to do that weave-in, but I don't think it is working too well. Macias is getting a run on him. He won't be able to make a move into Sunset, but can he make a move coming out of Sunset and down in the run to turn 1?
That's the question that has to be made, but it's a very good run out to the corner by Juha Nora Lampe, who will look to try and play the same defense again. It was 0.3 of a second last time over the line, now down to just 2.75 of a second in towards turn number 1, and not close enough is the driver of Sergio Macias, who will need to find that magic move as he is keeping on the power, looking for that opportunity. Lap 7 out of 23, so we're already over 1/4 distance then in your event, and it's just been action up and down your field for the majority of this. Still battles going on, the likes of Kochi versus Bycroft going on, and it's also worth talking about the team's championship, because that is a Williams versus Ligier, a battle between the pair of them, and that'll be something just to keep an eye out on there, Sam.
Yeah, Williams versus Ligier in 1970s Formula 1. Think Williams got the upper hand in the long run, but what about this season? Of course, it's a virtual season in iRacing 2017. Who knows who's going to come out on top? Still got some good packs going on, most notably still behind Mark Pickford in 10th place. where we have about 4 cars still right behind him. Pickford, I think he's really having to use his side view mirrors in these early stages.
Yeah, he certainly has to, and he's got to be careful about where he places that vehicle and where the moves and the opportunities come into play. Keep an eye, though, still on your race leader, Juha Noralampi, in the number 4 machine now, rounding this Le Mans corner to get onto the Oldman Straight, and again, closest the driver of Sergio Macias. Already the weave coming into play, and still the gaps closing more and more. 3/10, 2/10, 1/10 of a second. They'll hit the brakes now, and it's not going to be close enough again from that driver of Sergio Macias, who tries to open out the corner on entry to get the best run possible out on the exit, but it's still that brilliant application of traction. Perfect again from Noralampi, which will mean that even though the gap is fractionally smaller than it was last time by, same result applies. You can't make a move into turn 1 just yet.
And let's not forget that these cars punch a massive hole through the air, so the draft and the slipstream is very real. That's why you see all this slipstream, all this weaving. But also the other notable thing about it is that Jonas Pahaka, back in 3rd place, is going to be the biggest beneficiary down the straights, because he's got 2 cars punching the hole in front of him. However, these cars do have a tendency, I think, when you get right up on the rear wing of a car in front, that sometimes if your setup's not designed for that, the front end can wash out. And so, much like a modern day Formula 1 car, it's easy to catch a driver, but it can be harder to pass them.
It certainly can. You have to remember here, Sam, that it's a very bumpy circuit here at Sebring, and that means for the majority of the downforce that is generated off this vehicle, mainly through ground effect, that's going to be really disturbing them because they have to run it higher, because they have to have race suspension.
Yeah, you can't blame all this on the cars. I remember, I think we were commentating to a Mazda Miata race here at Sebring once on the Global SimRacing channel, where our very own and we got trouble, Nicola Cotree from 6th position goes off and drops to 9th.
Unbelievable. So that's coming out of Tower. Replay on screen. So he heads through Tower, misses the apex slightly, gets on the curb, on the dirt, shall I say, on the exit. It's not like you have a million miles of runoff. So very fortunate to actually keep it out of the tyre barriers there, did Kochi. But in expense, he will lose a few positions in terms of where he is as we now return back live to action here at Sebring International Raceway here in Florida. Top 3, nose to tail at the front of this field, and as you see, 5/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second even, between the top 3 as they make their run in towards left-hander turn number 1. No positions then will be gained or lost in terms of comparison, but now Puheka starting to inform himself of his notice in terms of trying to get up into position number 2.
Well, our track map at the top of the broadcast said this track had 17 turns. I have a feeling with all the extra turns these top 3 are adding in down the main straights, we've got about 30 turns here today. But it's working for Noralampi as he continues to hold on to that top spot. Breaking the draft from Macias, who takes the hairpin a little deep. That could have created an opportunity for Puhaka, but his car was wide enough. He was able to defend on corner exit, but Puhaka definitely within striking range on lap 9 and looking down the inside, although Macias was late enough on the brakes to hold on to it.
And the more that they fight, the more they'll let Noralampi get away. A chance that Cunningham doesn't go the way of Puheka then, the Finnish driver, as he looks to make it Finland 1, Finland 2 in this event. Sergio Macias is the only driver who is looking to try and hold on to that position number 2 as things stand. And that's going to be good for Noralampi. It means that he's got less pressure on him than he did a couple of laps ago, Sam. So that's going to mean that he is going to be able to maybe weave a little bit less on this straight than he did in previous laps.
Well, I have a feeling, though, yeah, he's still going to do it here, and I have a feeling what Noralampi doesn't want to do is become complacent. If he doesn't weave enough because he thinks they've backed off from him before he knows that they'll pick up his draft again and run him down, and that's exactly what's happened here. Macias does get a nice round on the entry into Sunset, but once again, Noralampi, it looks like, is able to get better runs out of the exit of Sunset.
Yeah, he certainly can. Back going on further down. Marco Kika in the number 11, looking to get past Michel Vandenberg, who's already made the move on this lap on the driver in the number 11. Not going to happen then on the run to Sunset. Ben looking to try and open the corner, get the nose turned in. Definitely didn't happen there for Marco Kika, who now runs incredibly wide there on the exit and loses himself about 0.3 of a second on that moment alone. it is as simple as you've got to get that front end turning on this vehicle, and that's where a lot of drivers are struggling here today, especially with the changing surfaces from asphalt to concrete, which have different turning variables.
Especially with a pretty high track temperature of 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, the thing that's surprising about Vandenberg being back here is he has that number 6 on his car. Well, in theory, on iRacing, it numbers you based off your iRating. So in theory, we should see him running up there in 6th place. But I think that just tells you how strong this field is. The fact that he's battling here now and taking the position, taking 12th place from Timothy Dalton, the number 18 car. So we got the number 6 and the number 18 battling on track, and a pretty good battle it was. I think it just shows you that all of these drivers out here, I have a feeling, have great iRatings, and we're seeing great racing on the track as a result of it.
Yeah, we certainly are, and Timothy Dalton unable to make that position back because of the fact that he only had less than 1 car's width to get back past the driver of Michel Vandenberg.
Let's go back to the lead.
Yes, we certainly will, because look at this, it's side by side as they go. Nora Lampi and Macias on the outside into Sunset Bend, trying to run the wide line then, trying to keep himself in there, and he'll try, but he washes out to dry. He's hung out like yesterday's washing, but he gets a good run coming off of the exit. Now the run to turn number 1. Heavy defensive line taken by Juha Nora Lampi, forces Macias to go the long way round then as they make their way to turn number 1. And we've seen it work already today, going the long way round, but no, Macias will have to fall in line. Now here comes Puheka, wanting a piece of position number 2, but he's blocked in the middle of the circuit, unable to make it happen. This is fantastic.
It's fantastic for Moreira as well. As these top 3 scramble, this is allowing Moreira, who started this lap 2 seconds back of this lead pack, to run all 3 of them down. Now Macias, let's recall, he was the pole sitter, set the fastest lap in qualifying, lost the lead at the start. He's trying to get it back. He's trying to get back in hairpin by using a later braking maneuver. It's not going to work though. He had his front win alongside Nora Lampi. He doesn't have any more. Nora Lampi has control of the field. He can go defensive to the right side of the circuit here if he wants to. That's what he's going to do. Macias trying to outbrake again on the outside, but once again not quite able to pull it off, and Moreira is right with these 3 now.
Yes, he certainly is. Trainer 4, then we're going to make it down to the inside. That tower tries Puheka. That's not going to work as he now compromises his run out of tower towards Bishop, towards Le Mans as well. But Nora Lampi again under pressure, side by side through Bishop. They go nose to tail, the top 4 all there together, scrapping lap 11 of 23. We're heading towards halfway, and you couldn't have asked for anything better in the early stages. 1, 2, 3, 4, round through Ullman and let the weave begin. Once again, Nora Lampi under immense amounts of pressure now as he moves right to left to right to left again, and I think Macias is unable to close this time by.
And Moreira ran off on the exit of that right, and wow, what a move by Macias there. He got out to the outside on the entry of Sunset and tried to sling it down the inside, but it didn't work, and actually it may have backfired against him, because now you see Puhaka trying to pass him on the outside for 2nd place. It goes through.
Oh, it's close. It is really close. And Puhaka's got the run then in towards turn number 3. Thank you very much. He steals that one away. So position number 2 then up to Puhaka. It's Finland 1, Finland 2. Exactly what we expected to see then after that move. And you have to say, Sam, very well played by Puhaka. He waited for the opportunity.
And Iberian Peninsula running in 3rd and 4th positions. The 2 Finnish drivers leading to perhaps Spanish or Portuguese drivers back there, with Sergio Macias ahead of Nuno Moreira in 3rd and 4th place. And by the way, of all 4 of these wiped out, Gerd Hofer is just running on his own in 5th place, waiting for the worst to happen.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's 4 seconds off the back of this group. His last lap time was a 1:49.9. Compare that to Nora Lampi, that was a 51.8. So he was 2 seconds a lap faster than the race leader, who was scrapping so hard to try and keep everyone behind him. And of course, with no pit stop, there is no strategy play that you can do by diving into the pits here, Sam. You've got to do it on circuit, and it's proven already today so difficult to make moves.
Yeah, 40 seconds covering the whole field. That is absolutely incredible, and I really hope we're not jinxing it, as we're pretty much halfway through this race right now. A very great race by these 19 drivers so far, but don't be surprised if it does change in the second half, because now these drivers know they're going to start running out of lap time, start running out of opportunities. Maybe they'll be more aggressive, like what Marcius is trying to make a move on Puhaka here.
Yeah, he is trying to make the move on Jonas Puhaka. Here comes Macias trying to make that move.
And spin from 7th place. Troika spins it in Sunset, gets going again, lost a couple positions. Back to the front.
Yes, and Macias then trying, but let's get a replay on screen of what happened in position number 7. And the big moment that happened for Teemu Troika. He just gets himself down to the inside, lost it on entry there, gets himself sideways, and very good avoidance actually there by the driver Nicola Kochi. He did a very good job. Troika, though, just trying to get himself going through. We're back live then at the action 1, 2, 3, and 4. Puhaka had to defend from Macias at turn number 1, but was unable to make the move, was the number 1. And that's, again, a little bit more breathing room for Nora Lampe.
Yeah, you saw just by that mistake we saw there on the replay in Sunset how on edge these drivers are. I know we've seen a rather clean race, but with all those bumps, especially through Sunset Curve, a mistake is never far away, and maybe that will hurt these drivers as these tyres wear off, just considering the length of this race.
Yeah, and of course, with those rear tyres starting to get a little bit more worn out, it's only going to be exacerbated further and further in this event. The more that the rear step out, the more that vehicles have an opportunity of spinning. It's about micromanaging everything that happens in this event, and it's not just the battle at the front you need to keep an eye out on. You've still got Pablo Lumbueras versus Michel Vandenberg behind that, John Stevens versus Marco Kika. Those are 2 battles we'll keep an eye out on in just a few moments time, but still Nora Lampe under pressure. Puhaka closing that gap down then. It was 0.6 of a second at the start of the lap. Doesn't look like 0.6 of a second anymore as Nora Lampe again gets the perfect run out of Sunset Bend. He has that dialed down on point, and one of the very few drivers who can make that happen.
Another driver I'll keep half an eye on at the back of the field is QC Clapp. Remember, he had that penalty at the start of a race, we believe, for jumping the start as Troika in trouble again. He's done exactly the same thing, and somehow I think he avoided the wall both times he's done it.
It's a little bit more different there. He was tracking on the outside of the line there when he was heading in towards Sunset Bend. And of course, the outside line is the dirtier line, and as such, a little bit more bumpier. And as such, he had to be turned around after that one back live. But he drops himself now into the Vandenberg-Lumbueras battle with Pickford as they go through. And yeah, side by side for the lead as well. Keep an eye on that. Nora Lampe and Puhaka going at it side by side as they came down to the hairpin. It was a good opportunity by Puhaka. It didn't work. Outside line for Cunningham then. It's going to be, look at the crossover in towards the right-hander, and they make contact between each other. Nora Lampe taken out. Contact between Puhaka and Macias is through.
So Macias finally gets the lead back for the first time since the start of this race. Puhaka may even lose second here, turns in. There's a car there, watch out, Moreira moves up into second place. So all of a sudden, the 2 Spanish drivers running back in 3rd and 4th, and now 1 and 2, and the 2 Finnish drivers who were battling for the lead, Puhaka and Nora Lampe, are now down in 3 and 4. Now, fortunately, I don't think their cars got that much contact. The reason you saw them skidding about the place after their contact was because they were out in the dirty rubble and they were trying to get that cleared off their tyres. I have a feeling we're going to continue to see these 2 battle and try and work their way back up into the lead. But now Macias all of a sudden has a big gap over the pack behind him. Can Macias run away with this?
That's the question we have to look at. Let's get a replay on screen of exactly what happened. It was side by side into the hairpin that kicked it all off. Puhaka tried the outside. It didn't work. Then he decided, you know what? I'll throw the Schumacher dummy on the way down into Cunningham. And there was just not enough room given by Nora Lampe, who did not see it coming, and as such, the move did not materialize for him. Then there was the contact between the 2, and round went Macias then through the whole group, and Moreira made it around the outside of Puhaka with contact at Tower. Action lap on lap 14, but on lap 15, still the battle between Nora Lampe and Puhaka continued for a little bit longer, but now it's starting to spread itself out a little bit. Moreira will want to close down Macias if possible. The driver at the front does not have the toe to be working with, and look at Gerd Hofra all of a sudden onto the rear of this group, only 2 seconds back from Nora Lampe.
Yeah, hopefully would hope that this battle continues so he'd be able to continue the close. And yeah, even though there's not a lot of, not as much action on track between these four as what there was a lap ago, this is a critical lap for Macias and Moreira, especially for Macias. If he wants to break this draft and just cruise to victory for these last 8 laps, he's got to put in a good lap now while he has that draft broken to Moreira. One mistake by Macias or one bad lap and all 3 of them would get back on his rear wing and it would start all over again. But credit where credit's due, I think Macias has had a really good lap.
Yeah, I think he's had a good lap as well. We'll see the lap times when they cross the line. Want to keep my eye on this other battle going on, though, between Teemu Toika and Michel Vandenberg. Toika dropping backwards, started 9th, now down in 11th position. Vandenberg +3 for today as things stand as they head in towards Le Mans. Little bit of draft help ahead in the form of Pablo Lumbueras. In front of that, Mark Pickford. So for Teemu Toika, he may just have a better opportunity in this event. The gap, 1.4 seconds though at the front of the field. Macias, 1:49.3, only a 1:49.6 from Nuno Moreira. So the gap is stretching, and that's very, very crucial between now and the end of this event. Moreira is not able to close at the same rate. Macias is extending the gap.
Now, I wondered if Hofer needed the top 4 in front of him to continue battling to close in, but funnily enough, Werfer ran his fastest lap, and I believe it's not the fastest lap of a race, but one of the fastest laps of a race, last lap around. He sees these cars in front of him, and he's going to try and take advantage of it.
He certainly is looking to try and take advantage. Let's take you, though, back through the field. A battle going on further down. Clear Hughes against the driver Robert Plumley. So the Welshman against the Englishman as they go at it again together. And well, this is a battle going on for P16, but P16 holds points, Sam. It is crucial to get these results.
Yeah, but these two don't want to battle too much because recall QC Clapp, the driver who had to serve at drive-thru earlier on, he's only 10 seconds behind them and he's catching about half a second a lap. Now, of course, with 8 laps left to go, that's not enough to catch him on pure pace, but if these two, Hughes and Plumley, battle too much, he will be able to run them down. Meanwhile, not too far in front of these two, Drake, is Marco Kika and John Stevens, and they've been having a bit of a battle. Stevens actually ran off course earlier this lap, or I believe last lap, and lost that position.
Yes, he did. So John Stevens starting to struggle maybe a little bit in the later stages when he crosses the line. Just 6 laps to go, or 7 laps to go even, shall I say, between now and the end of this event, the final quarter of this event happening in just a few moments, and some of the alumni of CTC trying to pop their heads through the door, the likes of Antti Lapisto, the likes of Kaya Ruokola, all looking, all watching, all thinking that there is going to be a very good chance that points are there available, and they are loving the action just as everyone else should be in the in what is watching, or everyone watching at home, shall I say, as I trip up over my words a little bit. But the gap, though, it has maintained. The difference last time between the leading two, Sam, it's just 0.02 of a second. So Moreira has managed to abstain that gap.
Yeah, and what's more significant about that, in my opinion, is that Macias and Moreira, you mentioned their lap times 0.02 apart from each other. They were both 1:48.9s. That was the first time this entire race we had seen anyone run in the 1:48s. And so that's showing you that these drivers haven't burned off their tyres. I almost wonder if they were saving their tyres, saving their equipment while they were running behind Pahaka and Nora Lumpy in the early stages. And now they're really able to crank out these fast lap times, but can it last? Can they continue to do this for the next 6.5 laps without killing their tyres and bringing Pahaka, Nora Lampy, and maybe even Hofer back into this, because Hofer ran a 1:49.4 last lap around, which allowed him to, well, actually it didn't. I completely missed this. Nora Lumpy ran a 1:48 last lap. So, boy, we are seeing some quick times out there.
Nora Lampy then, fastest lap, 1:48.887, marginally quicker than Moreira, marginally quicker than Sergio Macias. Across the line for Macias then, 1:49 flat, in response 1:49.3, he pulls another 0.3 of a second out of the back pocket, makes it 1.7. The draft now not available for Nuno Moreira, which means he will now start potentially falling back to Jonas Ocean Puheka, who's just 1 second behind as things stands. Eyes, though, on the 11 machine. Let's go to Marco Tika side by side with John Stevens. Well, position 11, shall I say, as he looks to try and make it past. No, not going to happen.
Yeah, well, the number 11 car, Marco Kika in the battle, but also a position 11 battle going on right now. So we're seeing Kika and Stevens battle for 14th right now. Looks like Stevens will be able to hold on to that if he can make it through turn 1. But what I'm keeping an eye on here for 9th place, Drake, is Mark Pickford in the number 9 car, holding off. Suarez is behind him, Vandenberg, who's been moving up positions in the later stages here, and Timo Troika. Recall he had those 2 spins earlier, so this 4-car pack could turn into a pretty vicious battle soon.
Yeah, they could get into a very good battle. So this train of 4 behind Mark Pickford has been for the last 10 laps. Defensive line taken, though, by the 9 machines. He looks to get the 12 defended behind. So they head into Cunningham Corner. Toika runs deep behind at the back of the train of 4. But still, Lumbreras trying to get back past Pickford, who has proven to be a lock that is very difficult to pick, shall we say, into Tower. And look at that getaway that is available there for Mark Pickford. He's just able to find those 2-3 tenths of a second, Sam, that nobody else can.
Yeah, this concerns me a little bit, though, in the closing stages of the race. Sure, these drivers are getting faster with these lighter fuel loads, but each time you take a turn faster, you're hitting those bumps harder, and I'm just a little concerned for some of these drivers in the closing stages. If they get a turn wrong, the results could be ugly.
Lap of the god, Sergio Macias, 1:48.6, fastest lap of the event, and has completely broken away from Nuno Moreira by 8 tenths of a second on that last lap. Now it's purely a battle for the final stages then of the podium that we have. P2, 3, 4 still not decided between now and the end of this event, but we'll stay with this battle between Pablo Lumbreras and Mark Pickford here, the 9 and the 12, and now behind. You think Michel Vandenberg has an opportunity in towards turn number 3? Not close enough. So he'll set the run up through Big Bend. And this is the thing. Get the run out of 5. You got the opportunity into 7. You can see wide line taken there ever so slightly by Lumbreras. He's compromised now all the way through 6.
Yeah, boy, this race has reminded me of like a bicycle race or a marathon where everyone's running together as a pack throughout the race, and it's only here in the closing stages that everyone's feeling their optimal, that we're seeing who really had something extra in the tank and be able to crank up those fast laps with these lighter fuel loads. Pickford, though, boy, he's just... He could sell his side mirrors at some kind of auction after this race. They'd probably sell for a good amount of money because, boy, they've really had their time in the limelight here. I'm sure he's been checking them throughout the whole race. He's got 3 cars behind him right now. Can he hold them off for the final 4.5 laps?
That's the question that we have to look at then between this battle going on for the remaining spaces up inside of your top 10. Only 2 positions there. 4 into 2. Well, if anyone who knows maths, 4 into 2 does not go. So 2 will have to lose out on a top 10 opportunity in towards the Ullman Straight. Then they come along for the 19th time out of 23. Just 4 to go when these drivers cross the line. It's 4 to go for drivers like Macias and Moreira, who are already on that final lap. So towards Sunset Bend, no positions will change here because no one able to close up. This is the draft effect, drafting train, where everyone's stuck behind the driver because they all have the same advantage as everyone else does.
Nora Lamke has gone off. He was running in 4th position all on his own. He has now dropped to 6th. So Gerd Waffer and Steve Bycroft have gone by him. Let's catch a replay of what happened here.
Just caught the curb there on the exit, I do believe there, Sam. So he gets himself right on the end of that curb, and it is an abrupt drop off there. It's not into the grass or anything. It drops off back onto the surface of the asphalt that's there. And Nora Lampe, just that extra bit of traction there, turns the vehicle around, and 2 positions lost for the championship leader.
And Kika just had to spin a similar portion of the circuit. So my fear is coming true in the closing stages here. A lot of drivers, for whatever reason, having some solo spins, and that could be affecting the results. We'll get a replay of Kika here after his spin. I don't think he hit the wall, but he opted to exit out and he is retired from the race.
He is, and he only just clipped the wall at the end of that spin, so Marco Kika out of the event, and with the amount of spins he was having, I was wondering whether his instant limit would be very high in respect as well. Mistake, though, happening for Michel Vandenberg. Here comes Teemu Toika to the outside at Bishop, and he's going to make it work at Bishop, I think. Yes, he does. Gets the position side by side, just in front. Pablo Lumbreras going around the outside then. And Mark Pickford, that won't work, so he'll try and set up the run through the final corner to make that happen. It held up Teemu Toika, who gets a little bit wiggly out of the curves, but look at this now. No wiggles here. This is the comparison. Pickford will take the defensive line instead in comparison to Lumbreras, and you know what? I don't think the move is going to be done complete. He's got to do it the long way around, which is always very difficult. Toika will go incredibly wide behind as well. Too wide, too deep onto the front straight, Sam.
So we got Pickford on the outside in the lead battle, Suarez down the inside, and now he was able to hold that outside through sunset, so now he has his desired inside line for the first corner. He'll get that position. Behind them, Toika will take a position away from Vandenberg, so they all kind of sort themselves out. Lumbreras still being challenged from behind by Pickford, but no, they all kind of get single file. And let's spare a thought for AJ Bear running in 8th place ahead of all these guys. He's had a very quiet race, and I just think he's driving the top 10 we ever mentioned earlier today. So kudos AJ Bear, but right now 9th place right behind him, still up for grabs.
It certainly is. Look down to the inside. That's not going to work, but that's going to compromise the exit. So there's an opportunity for Teemu Toika to maybe have a look up at Cunningham corner through Fangio then. Left-hand bend that they all look to try and set up the run. Defensive line taken then by the driver of what is going to be Pickford. That's going to mean there's no overtakes going on. I want to keep my eyes, though, further forward. Nora Lampe versus Bycroft. That will soon come into play, and I don't think that Puheka is going to be able to close down Nuno Moreira between now and the end of this event. It's 2 to go when they cross the line, but back to the battle of the train of 4 for the final spots inside the top 10, Sam, and now Pickford under pressure for the 10th position overall.
Yeah, Pickford's been under pressure all race, but of course now the pressure ever mounting as we enter the last couple of laps of this race here at Sebring International Raceway. And Bycroft is let in Nora Lumpke by for 5th place. He backed off on the front straight. Nora Lumpke has got it, so let's resume this battle for 11th, because there wasn't much of an exciting pass up here, but this is exciting with Pickford having Toika on the outside of him. Toika, if he can just hang there, he'll have the inside for turn 1, but I don't think he's been able to do that.
No, not about, but to the outside. Let's try it as they go through. And well, now in towards turn number 1. Here comes Toika around the outside. Still not got it sorted. Small kink of 2. It's this right-hander, and now to 3. They've got to go on the brakes then. Left-hand bend. This is where we saw Nora Lampe make the mistake. In through 4. It's sorted by Toika. Or is it? Look at 5 from Pickford. They're letting Lumbreras go. Contact and round, and both of them get caught up in it. And also the third machine as well.
Oh, Vandenberg thought he saw the opportunity open for him there. The 2 cars in front tangled. He'd just been sitting in the popcorn position, and then they slid back on the track in front of him, kind of an innocent victim. So 3 cars collide. That's going to move everyone behind him up about 3 positions. You just see 1 slide, and then he collects that wall as they went under the bridge, and that kicked him back out across the circuit.
It certainly did, and well, now looking to get themselves back through into this event. You've got to hope that everyone is trying to go through. Vandenberg out, Pickford out, and that's just the way that it works. Let's get a replay, though, of what happened a little bit earlier on. Nora Lampe and Bycroft, the 2 coming together, well, not coming together as such, but the pass that was made, and Bycroft knew that he was the slower driver, was rather happy that he would keep the points that he's got compared to a much faster Nora Lampe, who now takes the top 5 in this event. But it's the white flag lap. It's 1 more to go here at Sebring, and a sensational race it has been from minute 1 to last. Action up and down the field, and it has been explosive to say the least. But 2 seconds at the front of the field, so Sergio Macias right now is the leader of this event. He has held off everyone else. He lost the lead at the start, though, to Nora Lampe, but of course the incident between Nora Lampe and Puheka for the race lead at half distance, scoring complete. That's what gave Macias the lead, and he hasn't looked back since. Moreira, who's in second position, he was just sat there waiting all race long. The opportunity knocked, and he got that position, and Puheka went for the race-winning move in towards Cunningham Corner, the one that he's going to head into right now. Unfortunately, there was contact between the pair of them, but that is by the by at lap 23 of this event. Into tower then goes Sergio Macias, and it is just a case of nurse the vehicle home. Between now and the end of the event, there's no reason why there has to be any more emphasis put on pushing and attacking right now. He's got the 2-second gap that he can just let himself be eaten into Le Mans, and now just one corner remains for Sergio Macias, who has just been working hard all race long. They call him number one for a reason. He's got the highest I rating of the lot. And when drivers like Gerno Friche have 9,000 I rating to their name, Sergio Macias will always be a very close second. Rounding Sunset Bend, and make your way to the line. The Classic is won by Sergio Macias here at Sebring. What a beautiful race that we have seen here today. It's second for Moreira, it's third for Puheka, it's fourth for Gerd Hofera, and the championship leader drops points in position number 5. Juha Noralampi will be kicking himself at the 2 mistakes that he has made today. Still battles going on though here, Sam. Stevens versus Dalton.
Yeah, the top 9 remained unchanged after that 3-car incident we saw with a couple of laps to go, but the battle for 10th now is between Timothy Dalton and John Stevens, who have been running outside of a battle for 10 before that all happened. It looks like though there won't be any challenge, Dalton will hold on to 10th, but there's also a battle, or it looked like there would be, for 12th, not too far behind, with Lai Hughes ahead of the beaten car of Timo Troika. Recall, he was one of those drivers involved in that incident. He was able to leap it around for a 13th place finish.
Yeah, he certainly was. And the last 2 vehicles that will finish this event, QC Clap had the drive-through at the start of the event. And finally, Paul Devine in the 19 will make his way around the final corner and make his final charge then to the start-finish line. But ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is step aside for just a couple of moments. When we come back, official classified results here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the CTC Classic Lotus 79s. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the CTC Lotus 79 series. We've just finished racing results here at Sebring. And what a glorious race we've had from minute 1 to minute last. We haven't had too many races quite like this in a while, but oh boy, was this a classic to behold. Let's get them up on your screen then. The number 1 machine started on pole position, won the race, and had the fastest lap. So it was a grand slam, but he didn't lead every lap of this event. Sergio Macias cruises home to an 8/10 of a second victory over Nuno Moreira in second. It's Jusen Osian-Puheka who will finish in third, with Jared Hofer fourth and Juha Noralampi in fifth. Steve Bycroft then will come home in sixth position, with Nicola Cocci finishing in seventh, the Italian driver. AJ Bear, very quiet race from him today. He finishes off in eighth overall, with Pablo Lumbueras in ninth, and Timothy Dalton rounding out the top 10, Sam.
Yeah, not too far behind Dalton at the line was John Stevens, placing 11th. And then a pretty big mover through the field, actually, was Lara Hughes. He started in 18th place and finished in 12th. Behind him, Timo Toika. Boy, he certainly saw his fair share of action throughout the race, and that resulted in a 13th place finish. Behind him was Robert Plumley and then QC Clapp, who finished in 15th place after a drive-through penalty early on. Paul Devine rounded out the cars on the lead lap and in the race, who didn't run into trouble. Unfortunately, then we get back to Mark Pickford and Mitchell Vandenberg, who both finished one lap down, and also Marco Kika, who spun in the closing stages of the event.
Yes, he certainly did, and well, it is a shame to see 3 non-finishers out of what was some beautiful action here today, but we do have drivers ready for interview. Sam, I believe you've run into Nuno Moreira.
Yeah, we've got our second place finish here. So first off, congratulations on a podium finish here today, Moreira.
Hello guys, thank you very much. Not an easy race. I was trying as much as I could, and in the first stage I was just looking for a chance or for something to go wrong in the battle ahead, because I was at the limit. So I'm pretty happy with the result, but hopefully I can get a few tenths more speed so I can discuss victories with everyone.
Now, throughout the first half of a race, I believe you were kind of running fourth there behind those top 3 who were really scrapping it out. Were you trying to save your equipment back there, or were you looking for any opportunity you could get to try and move your way up through the field?
Hey Samuel, it was more like I was at the limit. I didn't want those guys to let go of those guys, but I did a few wobbles here and there, so I keep losing a little bit to them. But then the battle between the first 3, you, Sergio, and Jonas, made us all come together. And in the end, I was a bit lucky, because if Jonas and you wouldn't have clashed, I don't think I was able to fight with them.
Yeah, but fortunately for you, at the least, that did happen, and you got up to a second place finish, which was great news early on in the championship. Now, next week, we go to Imola. Do you think that's another track you can fight for the victory?
Of course. Every track I can fight for the victory in the Lotus, so it's, well... But the competition is very, very, very tough, and people are running really, really fast. I haven't seen this level for a while, and it's amazing.
It absolutely was amazing. Not only the quality of racing out there, but the amount of it. It was a fantastic show you all put on. Congratulations again on the podium finish. Commiserations, it wasn't a victory. Hopefully, for your sake, we'll be speaking to you from the top step of a podium next week.
Hopefully, one of these weeks. Thank you very much, guys. Keep up the good work, and thank you all. Bye.
Not a issue at all. Nuno Moreira there joining us. But right now, we managed to get ourselves the driver who finishes in position number 3. It's Jonas Osian-Puheka. Jonas, you know, we've talked quite a bit, me and you. Of course, we have a good long history together. We've worked together in many broadcasts, you know, that we've had up and down. But today in this race, position number 3, you know, you were up there fighting for that victory. But of course, as has been very well documented here on the Global Sim Racing channel, you do have yourself that rivalry with Juha Noralampi. But it seemed to me that you almost pulled off the pass of the century?
Thank you. Well, it was close. I managed to fool him to the outside, thinking that I wouldn't go there, and well, I went there at the last second. I would have made the corner, by the way, to anyone watching. I would have made the corner, but we clashed at the last second, and for all our rivalry with Juha, and I know that it's a great story for the broadcasting, but that was a racing deal. I can't blame him for that. He could have given me a little bit more room. I could have maybe been an inch more to the right, but racing deal.
Racing incident then, he declares, but you were looking at maybe trying to get yourself some very good points in the early stages of this season. Of course, this is probably one of the first races that you've run. I know you do drop in and out from time to time, but you get yourself this position number 3, you see the sort of caliber of drivers that you are racing against, and on any other given day, we'd put you up there towards the front of the field, if not winning it. We'd say the same for Moreira, Macias, Nora Lampi. Anyone that's up there in that top 4-5 could have very easily won that today. So for you, is it a missed opportunity, or is this a result that you can be pleased with, keeping your position from 3rd on the grid?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. One word answers. Brilliant. Brilliant.
No. I'll let you actually think of another question while I answer that one properly. Just giving a little bit of stick, since we do have that long history. It's kind of, if someone told me before the race I would be 3rd in this race, I would be kind of fine with it. But looking at my pace, I think I was the fastest driver out there today, even faster than Sergio. But, it's one of those things, and sometimes I'm just lucky to survive the accident, unlike in Suzuka and in other places. So I'm gutted I couldn't get the win, because there was someone who I would have dedicated that win to, dedicated 3rd place to. But, it's a 3rd place, and well, it's some good points for the team, and we hope we can get better results next race with Antti.
Yeah, and hopefully some good points out of that one will be very, very helpful for you. Of course, you take 197 points out of this event, which is still a very good points haul overall, but to Imola next week, a very narrow circuit like Sebring, but very different in the respect that you don't have the long straights to make those overtakes. Do you feel that track position for you next week is going to be so vital?
Maybe if it's above 10th. I mean, Imola is not one of my favorite circuits, but I hope Alteroma and Soidino Ferrari will treat me well this time, and I hope I can get a decent result, but it's going to be hard. We are also very busy with the World Cup, so we'll have to see about that. I mean, Captain's got his duties, so we'll have to see. But I'll try to beat her, more often this season, because I kind of want to place well in the championship for once. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Certainly is. The World Cup of iRacing, always a fixture in iRacing circles. But before we let you go, you said you wanted to dedicate P3 to someone, so floor is yours.
Thank you. As this will take maybe half a minute, but as you guys know, some of you know, we lost a great competitor, a great friend to all of us last week, and well, he was the beloved 4X team leader, a great rally co-driver, a great person, and a great friend, and we will all miss him dearly. His 3rd place is dedicated to Mr. Andy Morgan and his family. May you rest in peace. Farewell, Andy. Thank you.
Well, all our respects from the Global Sim Racing channel go out to the family of Mr. Andy Morgan. But Jonas Pieheka joining us then from position number 3 overall. And from that somber note, Sam, we go to the other stage of the rivalry, shall we say. You found Juha Noralampi.
Yeah, Juha, first off, let's start with the question on everyone's mind here, and that was, what was your take on that incident you had while battling juniors for the lead there? Juha Noralampi,
Yes.
there you are.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. What was the question? Sorry.
What was your take on that battle, that the contact you had there with Pieheka while racing for the lead?
Well, I was a little surprised because when we came to that Cunningham corner, he took inner line and he dive bombed there, and he just couldn't brake so that he could turn there, and I was beside him and I was ready to turn, but I couldn't, and without avoiding hitting his car, and he just pushed me with that maneuver off the track and caused damage to his car and my car as well, a little for the suspension. And I just can't understand his driving style. When this happens, he doesn't apologize, and he should have been given me the place back if he were a gentleman, as other drivers do. But I don't know, he's something against me. But well, we'll see next time when we are at a similar situation. What can we do? But I don't like this kind of racing. It's very stupid. But that's sometimes it happens. But I'm not happy because we were 1 and 2nd, and we were Finnish guys, and we could have it ended like that. But I'm very disappointed again because I was fighting with Sergio, and there was no problem with him because we were many corners side by side, and there was no sudden and crazy moves there. But I don't know what Jonas is thinking, but I will forgive him. But I will also want that he will be a little bit more reasonable next time. And I have made mistakes, and I have made some stupid mistakes, and I always have apologized from Jonas. And I just wanted that he would be the same kind of person there with us when we race there. We all make mistakes, and I don't have any against Jonas, but he's perhaps too aggressive there. But that's my view, and I hope that we can manage next time better.
Yeah, unfortunately then, it was, there was contact made throughout the race. The good news from us on the broadcast side, and I hope you feel it down there on the track too, is boy, the competition this season is something else. There's a lot of strong drivers out there, and do you feel that it's harder to get these good results this season?
Well, I think last 3-4 seasons it's going harder and harder. I think I am improving my pace all the time, but so are the guys, and it's enormously tight there sometimes. And well, there is very fast guys here. There is Sergio, and there is Nuno, and there is of course Gernot, which is sad that he's not here at these first 3 races. And Jonas, of course, is one of the fastest guys, absolutely. Well, I can say that I'm very happy to race against those guys, but it would have been a much enjoyable result because there was a place to win this day, this great SOF race, and good points. But well, that wasn't going to happen now, but next time perhaps.
Next time perhaps, and next time will be Imola, so you rate your chances there pretty good?
I think that I could have a good reasonable pace there, but let's see what guys are going to do. If they are going to improve much as they have, then we are going to see very tight battle again.
All right, well, commiserations on not getting a podium finish today, Juha, but thanks for coming to talk to us, and thanks for putting on some great racing out there for today. We very much enjoyed it.
Thank you, Samuel and Jake and all the guys. Bye-bye.
Well, there we saw there's Juha Norlampi, so the rivalry does continue then between the 2 Finnish drivers, but we have managed to also join with us in terms of this interview section. Nicola Kochi joining us right now. Nicola, for you today, a result of position number 7, started 7th, finished 7th, but, it was very eventful for you, especially in the early goings.
Yeah, I'm pretty much happy with the 7th place because I think it's matched my pace overall, but I had a pretty good start on lap 1. I was, I think, 5th, just behind Jonas. But he had like a more quick pace than me, so I slowly lost 1/10 here, another 10th there, and eventually Gert overtook me, and that's when I did my stupid thing, because I spun, and it's a shame, because I'm sure that I could have stayed with Gert and eventually fight to the end, but this track is very tricky to me, and I made pretty much every single race. I always did like at least one mistake, so I need to get better from this point of view.
Well, the way I saw you in like my first looks at Lotus 79 is that you were certainly a driver who always had a lot of room to develop, a lot of potential. You look at the Aurora Championship a couple of seasons ago, you were always up there in and around that top 5 scrapping, and it does go to show that a lot of potential does come out of that Aurora Championship of drivers trying to get into that sort of area. But what do you feel that you need to improve on most of all to find those extra 0.2 of a second?
This is a very good question, but I think that just like you said, I still have some room for improvement. But it seems that the fastest guy are always like hammering his pace lap after lap, pushing a lot, and I'm not still able to push that much without for a whole race, without doing like not even one mistake like they do. So I think that it's consistency in the pushing for many laps. I need to get better on my pace overall in order to not pushing that much every time, to cope with it and stay more calm, more smooth, and and improving overall. Maybe even just like setup. I'm not very an expert. I think that I'm kind of a newbie for that perspective, and I am sure that those guys have so much experience more than me, and I have to recover it some way. And anyway, the way is very long to me to get up there, but hopefully I will improve slowly, step by step.
Well, step by step it will have to be, but the next step goes over to your homeland in the form of Imola, Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. So for you, Nicola, you're looking at a situation where you've got the home crowd there in front of you. That always finds you an extra couple of 0.1 of a second anyway. So are you looking to try and find yourself maybe that big result in front of the home crowd?
Actually, I'm living just like 20 minutes of cars away from the circuit. So I've been there so many times, and I still do, like many times in every year. Hopefully the crowd would be like pushing my car a little more than usual. But the track is very, very unforgiving, very technical, and I will have like my eyes wide open for the whole race to avoid silly things. And I think that 2 seasons ago I had like one of my best results in a broadcasted race there, so I surely wanted to replicate that, and we will see how it will goes.
Well, the family, the extended family, the dog, the hamster, you name it's going to be there supporting Nicola Cocci in just a week's time. But Nicola Cocci there joining us, position number 7 overall for the day. We thank him very much for joining us. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we will have to say that this is all that we have got time for here this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are around the world. So we must offer our thanks to all of you who have been watching the action here today, and to all the drivers and teams of the Classic Teams Championship for their stunning battles and their decision to fly GSRC. Thank you also have to go out to the companies, equipment and software that has been involved or affiliated with this afternoon's broadcast, and we'd also like to extend our thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde for the music that you have heard this afternoon. Details how to contact them are on screen right now. And speaking about contacts, if you are wishing to have your series broadcast or just want to find out when the next dose of sim racing action or otherwise is live, pop over to globalsimracingchannel.com or check us up on social media with the Twitter handle at GSR Channel, or catch us on Facebook as the Global Sim Racing Channel. Back to the continent next week as Imola, Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari will be a blast in the proverbial past, but as always, that has been Samuel Ryman, that has been Amjad Yamin, and that has also been the man who some say has his own podcast about racing, but only racing about through fields of wheat. That's Dougie Beard. I have been #Do You Mind Jake Sperry, and well, it's muchas gracias from today in Sebring. The rivalry though does continue and the emotions will start to boil. But remember, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.